Alright, ladies and gents, it's time for solution to homework 618. It looks like this. You're supposed to, for each of the situations, complete a table with some sample input values, write a function that describes the relation between the two variables, and then graph it. So, number one, Crazy Harry just jumped out of a plane at 10,000 feet. He plummets towards the Earth at a whopping 80 feet per second. Okay, so I got a table going already, mostly because I didn't want to talk while writing it down. But I'm just choosing x values. Like you can choose 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or I could have picked like 0, 17, 413. It just depends on what you feel like doing. I just picked a few easier ones just so I can get a feel for where he is in the sky as time progresses. Okay, I'm going to write a function. All this is just going to describe his altitude as time progresses. So the altitude would be the dependent variable, and it changes as time progresses, so time would be the independent variable. So here, the function of x here, that describes the altitude. So, what's the altitude at time 0? Well, at time 0, he's at 10,000 feet, because he's right where the plane is. So that'd be 10,000. Well, what's his altitude after 1 second? Well, that's 80 feet less. So you're going to take that, you have to go 80 feet down. So that'd be 9,920. And another minute goes by, he loses another 80 feet. So we have to go down to 9,840. And then he's losing 80 more feet, so 9,760. And then 80 more feet, 9,680. Okay, so he's dropping down, 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 down. Okay, each second 80 feet. Well, use this to write a function assignment here. Okay, when you're writing this down, think of, okay, where's it starting? What's the altitude or whatever the variable is at time 0? Well, at time 0, that's 10,000. And then what's happening to that 10,000 as your independent variable continues, as time progresses? Well, each second he's losing 80 feet. So you just do subtract 80x. Okay, remember this x here is here because the number of seconds is changing. The x represents the number of seconds. So we want to put 80 with that because it's 80 for each second. So 10,000 minus 80. And now we're going to draw the graph down here. It doesn't really make sense to draw the graph over here in the second, third, and fourth quadrant because that deals with like negative seconds, which we're not too interested in, or like negative altitude, which would be a bad thing for a skydiver if they don't have a parachute. Anyway, so here, notice my x's are counting by ones, so I'm going to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And my altitude, if you look at that, that's basically 10,000. And so I'm just going to count by, I'm just going to count by 5,000s, because I don't have a lot of tick marks and a lot of room. But on your paper you got a little bit more, so you might want to count by thousands, just so you'll get a little bit nicer graph. So you notice here at 0 seconds, he's starting right at 10,000. And after 1 second, he's barely gone down at all, comparatively. So really, you're looking at a point just down a wee bit, just a tiny bit. And same for your 2 second, and your 3 second, and your 4 second. It's just going down just a tiny bit. Well, after you got 2 points down, you can draw your graph. And notice it's going to take a while for that to go down very far. But there you go, a graph, function, and table. Let's jump over to number 2. This is about me getting fat over Thanksgiving. And I'm trying to lose weight, so I'm losing 2 pounds every 3 weeks, which is pretty drastic. But you know, if you're careful, you can maybe try this out. But yeah, please consult a doctor before trying to do anything drastic to your body. Anyway, so when I'm starting out, right when the diet's starting, that's what's going to be here in my first row on my table. That's going to be 200. And you notice something a little bit different about my X's on this one. I didn't count by ones because, right here, my rate isn't every week, it's every 3 weeks. So I took my X's and I didn't count by ones, I counted by threes. Because I know that in 3 weeks, it's just going to be subtract 2 pounds, which is really nice. So we're going to go down to 198. And 3 weeks later, I'm losing 2 more pounds, so 196. And then 3 weeks later, again 2 pounds to get down to 194. So let's write the function. Remember, like, have a starting point. With me, it's 200 pounds. And then I am losing 2 pounds every 3 weeks. Well, that would be 2 pounds every 3 weeks. And so you're going to convert that. Just convert it to a fraction, 2 over 3x. Because every 3 weeks, you'll be multiplying. That gets rid of 3's and you lose 2 pounds for every 3 weeks. Anyway, so there's our function. Time for the graph. Again, I'm just going to count by 3's on this one to make my life a little bit easier. And then on my y-axis here, I'm going to count by 50's. Just because I don't have a lot of space. You have a lot more tick marks, so you might want to count by like 10's or 20's to make yours a little bit more pretty than mine. Anyway, so starting out right at 0 weeks in, I'm right at 200 pounds, so put a dot there, right at 200. After 3 weeks, I am down to 198. Again, just like last time, I'm only going down a tiny bit. And then week 6 down a little tiny bit again. And then on week 9 down just a little tiny bit each time. And it's slowly going down. So it's going to take me a while to get down to 150, but you can see it's going to happen eventually. And there you go.